Well, with Breeze going the way of Blinn, we're now heading to a map 3 in this series between Blinn and TSM. And unfortunate circumstances aside here, Vance, emergency sub coming in a good chunk through the way. Honestly, even before that, Blinn, they seemed so ready for Breeze, something I really didn't expect considering how little they've played this map in the last couple months.
100%. Definitely looked like it was a breeze there for Blinn Esports, right? You're playing a map that's, on Paradise, and it's summertime. There's a shore, there's a sands, there's a beach, there's water, there's an ocean. A perfect map for the Pirates to have such a dominating first half on their attack side, too. And that was us when we were talking about it here, Shift. We were saying how it was just really easy here for Blinn from macros, from entries, from duels. Everything was working in their favor. And where they're not supposed to win these type of fights, they still do. So TSM, unfortunately, when it comes down to it, they also just couldn't shoot back. And it took a while. It took until the second half here until they finally got their second round coming in. I mean, they lost Pistol, and after losing Pistol when you're at, like, what, 12-1 at that point, you're still able to put 4 rounds. There's some silver lining, but it's definitely too little too late, but hopefully that gives them a chance here to warm up for Split with that type of fight.
Yeah, it's a shade of silver that even Bob Ross doesn't have a concoction for. It's just so dark, and
no saved.
The thing about it is, like, regardless of the set of circumstances that happen, whether Proto's not, we don't know what all happened, but if he wasn't feeling up for it, I mean, the fact of the matter was, it wasn't like just him. I mean, the whole team was getting beat up across the entirety of the map, not even on when Proto was on one particular site. So, yeah, there definitely just felt like a miscommunication and a kind of gauge of what TSM were trying to do in the defensive half, to where this map just became a bit of a runaway before, TSM could really, get themselves going again, later into that second half.
Yep, definitely. Looking back into it, man, there's just been some good positioning, good plays overall. I think it's not only just on Okeanos how they played that. I think when it came down to pulse plan situations, Mikey had great lurks too. So from A to Z in terms of the game plan here that Blinn Esports had going into this against TSM. Remember, this is TSM's probably best map and the favorite map that they like to play. And to be able to let that come through, and there you go, bye-bye me. Hello, me. For them to let that through here for Blinn shows that they had done some homework into how TSM plays this map. And I don't ever really think it was anti-strategy on how I saw things came through. Is just some great understanding of how they worked the timings on their end and executed perfectly on their side for Blinn Esports. And it just, one of those days where you don't need to try too hard because everything's just working in your favor.
Yeah. I mean, they were shooting well. Before we hopped into the map, we were talking about how, like, the team has to set up the Yoru and, like, playing around that, encompassing that sort of play style. And Teague had a really, really great game over on the end of Blinn. Like, it was
as
really...
well, yeah.
It was nice to see how Blinn was able to just kind of collapse on these sites on their attack, and TSM just kind of left out to dry a little bit there. But it was just the second map in the series, and we have to look ahead to this third map, the decider here of Split. And this is where things get interesting for a variety of reasons, because Bind was something that Blinn had a lot of experience on, and TSM still able to best them. And Breeze, this basically unknown quantity, except for the one match recently, the Mid-Season Cup they played, didn't really have much. Now we're back to Split, where Shift, they do have a lot of experience over on this map.
Yeah, I think the thing here is, there are two sets of factors that we have to talk about. The first is, for Blinn, this looks like a great map when you look at the statistics that they've been able to put together. However, you have to consider that the majority of the opponents that they've played on this map in the last couple of months have been at the collegiate level, and most of the wins that they have are against collegiate teams that are not in the CVAL Championship or very high up in the CVAL Championship. They have beat Turtle Troop, which is very impressive, and they have beat SAD Esports as well, which is also pretty darn impressive. But having losses to both Fisher teams and the St. Clair Saints does stick out a little bit. The other factor here is you have to hope that TSM doesn't roll over and die. I mean, you have to hope that Sherb can put together some sort of a fight, because let's be honest, this is an important matchup in terms of their ability to start their season off with a win. So the two main factors, I think, are both the caliber of opponent that this Blinn team has played, and then TSM, can they actually put together a 5-man effort?
And that's where it kind of hurts that it's Split here for TSM, because when you're going back to Blinn, maybe the caliber of opponents wasn't necessarily the same you'd see in Challengers. The win over SAD Esports is the one that sticks into my mind, because TSM took a pretty rough loss to SAD Esports. I believe it was week 5 here over on Split. So it's definitely something that there needs to be a change over from TSM, and not being able to go exactly with maybe what you had planned in scrims can be a little tough going into this, Vans. I'm curious if this maybe brings a different idea, different breath of life into the team on a map that they've maybe struggled with. So I'm looking to phrase this up as more of a positive going into this, and having no expectations here, but willing to be really surprised by what we see coming out from TSM.
Yeah, I think overall for TSM on their end, it's, one of those days where, they're running the most default comp that we currently see here on Split, which is the single controller Sky, if I'm not mistaken, and the double controller, right? So one of those days where if you're coming out with a simple composition and you can't shoot back, then that's why you're seeing these losses against teams like SAT Esports. I thought on the other end, though, for Bleed Esports, we're going to see something where you have Teague that's just going to keep playing like cracks there over at Foot Esports, because he's just playing KO every single map. But that's where it's going to be a little bit more standard going into their composition as well. So it might potentially even be a mirror matchup, if I'm not mistaken, at this point, of how it's going to be playing out. So you're giving a lot of responsibility on, if it has to be 1-for-1 in terms of rosters or role swaps, in terms of a Proto and Sherb coming in, then you're seeing him playing a Viper going into this map where, there's simpler things that you could do for this agent, especially when you're playing on the defensive side, when the majority of your responsibility is going to be holding down and taking on the middle with your orb and with your snake bite. So the responsibility versus having to play an Astra and supporting like a coordination for TSM is a lot easier to do, is what I'm trying to get to, where you might see some breath of some hope actually for TSM to still look coherent in this map on Split.
And keep in mind that Sherb was essentially pigeonholed having to finish out the map on that agent, by the way. So, there very well may be a conversation here of, Sherb, what do you feel best on this map? Okay, cool. Maybe we can build something around that a little bit to make him feel a little bit more comfortable, rather than, hey, Sherb, this is what Proto usually plays, so you have to do the same thing. You have to play just as well as he does. There is that little element of things, too, that maybe Sherb can actually start this map in a more comfortable position than coming into an 0-8 Astra that he's not normally used to playing.
And we talked a little bit about the stakes that was for TSM, this team that we expected maybe a couple more wins for them in stage 1, and how this is definitely an unfortunate circumstance because kicking off the stage 2 here, being in this game 3 with a sub. But we also have to talk about what this means for Blinn Esports in terms of kicking off their season right. This was the team, Vans, that promoted into our league. They didn't have any points, and now this is this collegiate team that has this opportunity here in this first week to maybe take this win. That's huge.
Especially in stage 2 when you're able to get more points, right? So for both of these teams, it's a very important game to kick things off on stage 2. Despite TSM getting some wins on that first stage, they only got 4 points, and you're supposed to get more points in the second stage. So if you're losing this one here and you're still racing to get into the top 8 by the end of stage 2, TSM desperately still needs this win to kick things off. So not to take anything away here from Blinn Esports, but they're the newcomers going to stage 2. So technically, this should be an easier win for TSM and a more confident win and a more dominant win. So when you show the way that you played on that first map and you dominated that first map, when you finally took the defensive side here on Bind, to show that on your comfortable map pick, you've lost 11-1.5 on your map to kick things off, it doesn't allow for you to get that same confidence going to this third map, especially now with a sub.
It's definitely tough. I mean, TSM, they definitely did not have things go their way going into this. And Shift, I always feel bad. But we have that conversation. We have to look back at the map like, hey, yeah, things were kind of going a bit wrong here. Starting off your week 1 like that's a little unfortunate. It's just about now the bounce back and the resiliency for the remaining members of the team, what they can pull together on Split.
Yeah, you got to keep in mind, too, that this is a stage 2 where you actually don't play the other teams in your group. You're playing up against the other group the entire time through. So there is this, is Group A or Group B better? And, I think just looking at the results from the first couple of days, Group A does look pretty damn stacked. I mean, YFP looked pretty good. Oxygen, obviously, the 2-0, even though it was tight versus M80, sets a bit of a message. And then you still have MXS in the group, plus a good core team that we still have yet to see. And Blinn looks good. So it's definitely one of those things that if you are Blinn, seeing half of your group already walk away with a win, another still to play, you do feel like you have to try to keep pace a little bit with the rest of what this stage has done, and especially your group in particular, take advantage of the fact that you do have a win possibly in front of you here, especially considering that there is an outside factor.
I mean, they've shown that they're able to go toe for toe. Time to see now if they can step ahead with map 3 ahead of us. Agent select for Split. Let's head to it.
Should be a good one. And I think, again, you know, we look at the TSM history. They have played a lot of Sky in the past. So, yeah, it's interesting because, wow, okay, I've kind of figured that, like, they would, like, allow Sherb to maybe play the Sky since he's more along the lines of an initiator based on his history that we can look at. But instead, they are going to put him on the Cypher here. So, again, a tall ask here for Sherb to step in and play an agent that he has no competitive history playing, at least based on what we've seen over the course of his stint.
It definitely is a big ask right now for TSM as a whole, indeed, because this was a role I'm pretty sure that Seven was playing as a Cypher in the past. Poise was the one playing the Sky. Now you have 3 players playing different agents, and I don't think necessarily it's just on because they had to do this last second sub. I feel that this is probably something that TSM has already been working through scrims of being like, hey, I might be more comfortable playing these type of roles. And then A Proto, of course, if you look at him from the past, he's known back in like 2021 to be the Cypher with the Sheriff, with the box crosshair to put up big numbers. Yeah. So I think now looking at this situation here, it's still a plug and play from Sherb coming into the roster, and you're seeing potentially more comfort around Seven and Poise, because now with this rule change, I could also see Seven doesn't have to be as anchored up to be like, hey, I have to defend. Now I could actually flash and trade with my duelist, with Sim, to allow these 2 young fraggers to actually put up these numbers here for TSM and to just work the map in their favor. So I'm liking these changes on paper. I just have to see it now. Well, we're all going to see it right now once the barriers come up to see if it's going to be the right solution now for TSM as they start off on the attack.
Okay. Lots of curiosity points, but at the end of the day, I think everyone can get behind the story, which is Sherb right now. Steps into an unfortunate set of circumstances, and can he make the most of it and possibly help TSM find their way into a win? Tough to join an in-progress map that's also 0-8, by the way. It's just so tough.
If anything, so far, he's able to put up a camera and a trip. That's a great start.
You know, you got to start somewhere, all right? Got to start somewhere. And there is the level of, like, you know, not to downplay the complexity of playing a Cypher, but, you know, if you've gotten familiar with the character, there is a level of TSM saying, like, do whatever setup you want, you know, especially when we're on the defensive side, and we'll trust that you can make some action happen. Ooh. And here we go. Okay, opening first blood. Good for Sim. Catches Monzu over peeking.
Contact play the whole time, and then after that first blood, using a dot to take control of B side. This allows now a split towards the B side, but it's not being smoked towards the top. It's late. So there's an opportunity here for a surprise factor, but it's not going to be the case. Now the Paranoia should be following through, and the site now taken over by TSM.
Teague still playing backside dirt, and the follow-up from Okeanos from the front. It does have a paint shells in play, a little bit of chip damage, and ooh, almost a chance for Teague to step through this setup, but not gonna happen. Okeanos last one left, and he just completely gets crossed up. No worries there. TSM only dropping 1 in the process, and Sherb found himself a kill. So there we go.
Yep. Heavy side hold as you started things off here on Blin's side on A. So despite the camera, I was joking around with the camera going up early here for sure, but once it gets instantly popped, he already had the information that there was an aggressive play or an aggressive position from Blin, so potentially a trap play on contact towards the A side. So I like for TSM to just pivot it into, okay, let's try to take control of middle. We haven't seen any orbs. We haven't seen any jiggle peaks coming through, so let's play the contact. They want to play a little bit more passive and potentially towards this B side where they could be weak, and they read it perfectly here from the IGLing from GMD, and they worked the weak side for Blin after the first blood, and now the rest is history. They have an opportunity now to score first blood here. Everybody's trying to make hero plays with classics only for Blin, and it's once again another great start for TSM.
Yeah, the timing is just off right there for Okeanos, trying to keep the corner. The guiding light hadn't come through yet. He showed too much. And well, with that, TSM off the races here in round number 2. Lots of utility being thrown across the middle of the map as Sim tries to get in towards Mail. Nice snap out of Sim. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. How about it? Mike gets his head blown off, Spaz follows, and now it's just down to Teague.
Pretty sure they probably heard some Sky util to start things off for Teague here, was a Sheriff in hand, so the pivot's easy to go towards the B side. The double hold down towards the bottom of the ropes. Easy one. Second one frag for Sherb. And he's working his magic right now with TSM. Place the cages correctly, too, for them to work out towards the A-side pressure. And camera to look up towards the ramp. So doing a supportive role, being able to be there for the trades. And now TSM, they get a flawless in the second round. Lost one player in the first round. They should have a really good bonus going into this buy. Good buy into this bonus. And look at that nerdy cam. I've never seen that you can put it on top of those skylights.
Yeah. Well, that'll be what's trusted to watch this A-Heaven, you think.
Yeah.
So
and still be able to look towards main, it should.
Yeah. Oh, quick push throw. TSM already get towards ramps. They're going to utilize a lot of the gas in this wall. A little bit of a heal as well. Sherb was tagged on the cross, but he's back to full. And Mikey will only see the boom bot. So the defensive Blinn, which has defaulted to playing down low, is going to be tested here. Quick push forward from Sim, able to get forward enough to maybe even isolate, but it has to be GMD to try to help follow up. Team right off the backside finds the spike here, trying to spam wall flash, but does get taken down. It's going to be a 2v2.
The walkout, they'll realize soon that the site's clear, but the better weaponry and health comes out here for Blinn. The thing is, they have Paranoia on their side as well, so if they could group up together and start working the site together on the retake, they might have an opportunity to retake and play the site. But for TSM, they're wasting a lot of that clock because they haven't re-cleared towards the backside yet. And finally, thankfully as well for TSM, Blinn just stayed put and waited for the spike to go down before they could start activating for the retake.
Yeah.
So it gives right now TSM a chance to set up here in the post plant deep inside the site.
But you do have one smoke, one paranoia still available here for Spaz.
Yep.
Those are the tools that we have to be keeping our eye on. And can Monzi isolate the site further with this snake bite that's still being held on to? Perfect view on the spy cam. First look on what this retake is going to look like. And there it is. Push on out, poise, one for one. Paranoia sent through. That should hit Sure. But oh, he backs up into the snake bite. Not sure where Spaz is coming from and walks right into his waiting arms. Blinn will win the round and get on the board.
Yeah, he just thought that potentially because that snake bite was thrown towards the elbow that they wouldn't rotate through that spot, so is trying to play the clock in his favor. And unfortunately, when you're getting hit by a Paranoia out in the open like that, you have a 50-50 chance, right? Go towards the elbow or go towards the map. And he feels that if he was crossing over towards the map, then it was an open cross. And unfortunately, he guessed incorrectly. It was a blind jump, literally, as he was hit by that Paranoia. But it still allows here for TSM to have a very, very good bonus round and put Blinn in a position where they're on a much lower buy. They're still trying to figure out their econ. Okeano still doesn't even know what he wants to buy yet here. It's going to be a phantom purchase for him.
Full rifles, pretty much as expected, but like you mentioned, the early tallies from TSM give them a bit of an advantage in terms of the showstopper in particular, but also you're dealing with full armors across the board with a couple of lights still in the mix for Blinn. The only big X factor in this round besides that showstopper, though, is the Judge of Monzi. He is inside vents at the moment. Trailblazer out. That is used to clear off at least the first part of Mail. A couple of shots come through. Sim says that's my trigger. Oh, good movement from Okeanos to get out of dodge. And in the same breath, Monzi stops a rotation in through mid. So the first two kills, good for the Blinn Pirates.
That's something that should have been checked for TSM. Falling behind the showstopper. It's already cleared all that space towards the top heaven. Watch the holes, but at least it's traded out by 7.
Mike up top. Good response.
Oh my
though.
God.
7 doing it all. Seeker's earned. Immediately popped. Poise off the reload. Looking to help out, hearing the shots coming from up top at A-Heaven. Good poison cloud placement as well here. Flash out. Here comes the next hit on the drop. Mike's able to find his second. 7 around the backside corner. Not a lot of health to play with, and the double shots. The teamwork is there, and Blinn survived through it, and that is just the display of two raises chasing each other with movement. Okeano staying alive a little while longer may have been a bit of a lifeline for Blinn.
And a discipline being better for Blinn too versus TSM, as I've just mentioned. You got to look back to make sure you're not getting backstabbed here. And they got surprised by that Judge running out from the vents placed up by Monsi. And that them speed out TSM. When it comes down to the post plant, though, on a 2 versus 2, after they got that first pick into the front B side for Blinn, they actually just grouped up together, played the high-low, trying to see where 7's going to be coming out of, especially when they weren't affected by the 2 flashes that was thrown out. You know 7 was going to try to make a play. So they just tried to make sure that if it was a right guess, they were on a high-low looking back towards the B main. If it became a 1v1, at least they're set for the trade. So very nicely done. They tie up the score line. TSM still has an opportunity to still buy this round because they had a great bonus round on that third. So a big swing round for both teams.
Well, slow motion here for TSM for one of the first times at this point. Boom, bod, careful. Sim nearly gave it a hug. So now poised. And TSM, with a little bit of progress towards A ramps, going to test out this Blinn defense up top. But this is, again, same spy cam placement. And Blinn are fine with giving up some top A control to play retake as soon as they get the intel they need.
And the intel they get, at least from Blinn's side, is a flash for a contact for ramp. But again, this is not going to tell too much. Because right now, this could be a standout lurk from a Cypher. And from TSM, they're looking for the lean on the top mid. That could have been a perfect kill for them to split into the A site. But now you're going to have to re-rotate from 7 to meet up with the rest of TSM for the pop.
Monty, okay. Again, the judge doing well for him. And Poise just gets caught trying to walk through in towards A. Follow-up is perfect for Blinn. And it's a 3-2 tally. Yeah, I mean, this Blinn defense really started to come to life a little bit, and a lot of it is just letting TSM go certain places very voluntarily. Check it later. Get your intel, converting it when you need to, but this has been good.
Yeah. The one time they were able to surprise Monsi at the top of that B heaven was a contact play. This time they tried to go with the flash, but the amount of times that TSM's trying to take control of the B heaven to start things off, it's getting denied by not a face-to-face loss sometimes, but also from the backstab. So I think at this point, if they want to continue to work towards this mid side, they need to add a little bit more players behind it, just to make sure that they're guaranteeing a trade or guaranteeing a battle on mid.
We'll see which comes first, the chicken or the egg. Trailblazer out. Double stack the defense. Oh, Paranoia, I think, was sent to the high ground there. And wow, yeah, Blinn kind of avoid that. Okeanos, what in the heavens is this? 3 for Okeanos. I mean, he was caught in no man's land and made the most of it. Last player left is GMD. And oh my goodness, it was almost enough. 2 kills plus an extra tag, but Okeanos making some finesse happen in the middle of the site.
Very, very nice to start things off on this eco for TSM. And this is one of the rare moments that it just went for an all-out push towards this B site to understand how the setup could be here if the Cypher consistently places his utility towards this A site. And I liked from the start of it the satchels from Sim to look back towards Orange and surprise Spaz at New Box. That's something that was a pathing that was really good from even Jing earlier on today, of just dominating VALORANT against the Paranoia, that it didn't give a chance here for the defenders to set up around the site and getting very oppressed in that moment. And TSM maybe could start thinking about that type of play. But look at this, 4 players.
Oh, here's the deal: is you can talk about where Blinn's setup is for the Cypher, but when there's a Viper spin that takes over A, all of a sudden things become very different, and the stack at mid works out beautifully. Plus now the reveal off the neural theft. Good shots from Sure, but not enough to tally up an elimination. With that, Blinn find a 3-round cushion, 5-2 up, only dropping 2 in the round.
Yeah, TSM was not ready for that. The first time Blinn is actually a little bit more active towards middle, and you know, like I said, it was usually one of those moments where TSM just sends Sim alone with a flash from 7. But at this point, when you pit towards the A side, you have 4 players set up towards the middle. It was basically that Fnatic strat of putting the camera up, spawning feet, going for double flashes. But as soon as that gets smoked up towards vents, that's another cue to just explode out and just try to fight towards middle to get information at the least for Blinn, and they hit the jackpot. All the kills came against TSM, and now they put TSM back on an eco. They're farming. They're farming.
Yeah, I'll say. I mean, this exchange between buy save never feels good. But Blinn off to the races here on Split, and it's not stopping anytime soon. Oh my goodness, you think Okeanos is feeling himself? A little heat check from the young man? Holy Hannah. 2v4 situation, and TSM are stuck outside events.
So the worst scenario right now, the worst case is you've given a rifle to Poised. The best case scenario, though, is that you're still playing against a lower buy from TSM, and giving your life away guarantees a kill or a death for a showstopper in the next round against TSM's buy. So I understand the overheat. It's good. The rest are going to be, he's going to trust his teammates to be able to do these type of trades, and no opportunities here for TSM to activate or clutch here 2 versus 4.
Hey, it's one of those things you don't know where the limit is unless you test the limits, and that's what Okeanos was doing. It was for science. It wasn't for overheating purposes.
Yeah.
I promise you that.
Right now, it's still the Sky that's the limit, right? He's just able to continue to move around and just get these frags freely, especially when it comes down into situations where, you know, there should be some instant trades coming out, even if you have lower weapons, and he's just quicker on the trigger, head on a swivel, able to aim right away and react right away for these kills. So, yeah, he's definitely not let go from the performance on the first map.
10
Well,
seconds left.
this is gonna give Sherb a chance here. Spike plant, 1v3. Here's the footsteps, and he gets one. Okay. Golf claps all around for sure. But still, regardless of it, Blin's gonna get to 6. And it's it feels very Breeze-esque again. And obviously the sides are different, but Blin are just doing a really nice job of making sure TSM don't get comfortable in their setups at any point in time.
Yeah. And right now for TSM, like I said, they found some success here towards this B side. Yet they still don't want to try to test the waters there yet. But I like at least that we're being more proactive on the middle. Because I mean, how many rounds have we really tried to work middle so far? And it's been denied. So you're able to default a little bit more and you're trying to pull the defensive side away from the mid take. But because of that, because it's so slow, they won't be aware of the... I mean, I guess they were. Sorry. I thought because this trip that was placed by Mike right now is going to be something new, but I just remembered Sherb saw that when he creeped up towards the staircase on middle. So they should be aware for this for TSM just in case. But I'm just trying to see here, Blin, if they could overheat in this round because they're starting to win every single duel again.
I mean, this is one of those rounds, though, where Blin's setup at mid doesn't require an extra set of eyes because there's a trap wire in there. So when the poison cloud is down, you technically still have a defense around it, whereas a lot of teams would have to replace things like omen smokes and stuff like that.
And sorry, just to cut you, and the reason why they're doing that as well, to leave middle open, you see the same type of setup where they're putting the camera and getting ready for a showstopper into B main in case TSM are going back for a late hit towards B. But it's A instead, and they get first blood.
And the second on top of that, so now there's no more defense here at A besides Teague, who is trying to step up. And interesting left, TSM get 2 kills, and then they stop and heal in the middle of a choke point. So Teague gets 1, but nothing else is going to follow behind that. So TSM still come away the winners of the round, 6-3 the tally, and now all of a sudden a couple of ults have been earned for TSM to possibly spend here late in this half.
Yeah, and that just became something as an audible call for GMD at some point. You know, it's a minute has passed by. They haven't seen any pressure coming out from the B main. They haven't seen any dogs or flashes to get information late towards the A side, so they still don't know where the sky's set up, where it could actually support Okeanos. So this is going to be probably the same type of default, just to try to see if Blin, realizing that the last round didn't pay off, will they try to be more proactive around this showstopper? And it seems to be potentially the case, because Okeanos is already on the top here of the A balcony. The only thing, though, is they're a little bit further out to try to find some fast information if they try to flash, because Teak is all the way out towards screens. And this Boombot is going to give a big tell for TSM here that the showstopper is leaning towards A.
Rogue place, Trailblazer out. It does connect onto Monzi. Not going to really affect him too much besides making him a bit more cautious at ropes.
And they pinged the trip.
Yep. And interesting, Okeanos steps up, but punished. Sure, off to the races himself. Now the neural theft is going to be spent out. That's good information. Knowing the defense is playing forward, Seekers to help support this play. Showstopper now going to be a part of it with the flash on the way in, but Sim gets blinded by it, still walks away with a kill, but Team holds the site. And now Spaz can try to teleport in as well, and the defense is fully supplied here. They've got a perfect setup to read this hit towards ramps. Sure, by himself. Spike is out, Paranoia doesn't land, but neither does the spray from Spaz, and we reset 2v2.
GMD can maybe smoke this out so they can maybe cross towards B, but Sherb is swinging alone. They tried to use him as a bait because he was low on HP and GMD to trade, but it didn't pan out in their favor. And you saw the idea, like GMD was still staying put towards middle, trying to figure out maybe trying to figure out what was happening, but it's one of those plays where because they pinged the trip towards middle, he just TP'd across so he could hear the rotates, and you're hoping because you got the showstopper entry, especially with Sim getting that first pick into Heavens, that it would have been an easier push for TSM inside the site. Yet somehow, Blin were able to hold their foot on the ground and maintain control of A Heaven and made it very difficult for TSM to salvage that spike. Yet again, breaking the economy for TSM. 3 hero rifles. Well, I guess I don't know what we're going to call hero rifles at this point. It's just a force buy coming through at round number 11. And they're trying to find something and salvage these last 3 rounds.
Yeah, you have to have another, you would think, I mean, 7. If you were able to get a 4th round, I think you'd be okay with it if you're TSM. But that was an expensive last couple of rounds, to say the least, especially with the ultimates that were spent, and now you tally the ones that are still left here for Blin. So Trailblazer comes through mid. Doesn't really see much. I mean, there's been pretty much constant information that Blinn is going to keep a defender inside of ropes, but now it's a difference of who is actually there, because Monzi will trade positions up top, gets flash pushed off the angle, but no commitment for TSM yet.
Yeah, they're still doing the same thing, just waiting for the camera to showstopper towards main. And for TSM, again, they didn't hear the boom bot early towards the A round. They're like, okay, well, let's just start moving towards the side, especially now that Poise stayed behind the boxes, hurt the flash, not getting any information, so they're pivoting towards this side. Avoiding the showstopper once again.
Deep in around 30 seconds to play. Commitment has to come eventually. Do they use GMD's position as a venue of where they want to go? No, instead it's going to be over towards top ad.
Oh, no.
Okay, well, the timing is not ideal, but not terrible either. Mike down low, overwhelmed. Showstopper traded over to the middle of the map, and Okeanos will hold over towards main, trying to get poised while he pulls out the pit, but not going to work out. Time the issue,
Spike's
though.
down.
No spike. They cannot win it by planet. It has to be by way of kills, and Teague, the last one standing. Can he get away from this in time? Just barely. Just barely. Blinn get 8.
Oh, my God. The clutch seekers, too, just to know where he could hide for. The shortest time to maximize a round here in favor of Blinn. It was squeaky bum time for him for sure. But everything leading to that, I mean, GMD almost got caught, still won that fight against Spaz towards the top of A Heaven, yet the execution towards the B site once again, or just the execution in general seems to be the bag fumbled here for TSM as they try to move inside the site. Oh, again, not trying to clear corners when they're utilizing their rolls to try to get into sites. And they're getting shot in the back and losing a spike in the process this time around. Ends up being very costly. And it was a lower buy, another opportunity to salvage a round when they had this lower buy here for TSM.
Yeah, this is problematic for TSM, but there are enough tools to still make this one count.
Yeah.
Spycam will tag up onto Poise, no worries. He just shrugs it off and then holds his ground here at Vents. Trailblazer just to make sure he's safe to climb, and then it goes right back in to try to clear out Mail, but the dark cover does conceal most of what this top B side looks like. And interestingly enough, Blinn's defense for the first time is pretty heavy stacked towards the site itself. Utility all flying right by Okeanos. Doesn't even bother with the blast packs of Sim. His teammates have taken care of it, but the delayed hit from Poise works out, and now it's just down to Monzi, who continues to find some success with the judge, but it's limited in margins.
Now a safe plan, GMD pushing forward. He's going to hear the flash and knows that there's T close inside spawn. Well done. Monty gets the hat, so they know where the hat came from. So they know that Monty is at least towards B Heaven. He's going to try to isolate these 1v1s. Both of them, though, for TSM, stacked on a high-low in a good spot to win.
Why would you not? Dark cover also blocks vision, so Mike is going to take a very long angle at this stack up. And both players sitting right behind screens. Oh boy, here we go. Has to make a check on it now. Oh, he doesn't even, does he actually get to look at it? I was going to say, just as soon as that dark cover starts to dissipate, TSM back up into the corner, nearly avoid him completely, but it is an 8-4 half, all things told, which, I mean, considering the start, really, rounds 3 through 8, it's not bad news overall for TSM.
Yeah, but I still want to give a quick shout out to the setup that Blinn plays here towards this defender side of a split. A couple of weeks ago in Challengers, too, when Oxygen Esports was playing this map, they actually used a dog to break the trip on middle to allow players to sneak through and then get a perfect flank and a backstab against their opponents. So I like the little tweaks that they did here for the trip on middle, just to make sure that when they place it, the dog can't really break it, so it's always going to stay up. So you're now forcing utility or forcing the shot to come through to give a tell that there's still pressure on middle. And that's how they were able to adapt very quickly into passive plays on middle and get 8 rounds on their side. So very well done. And now TSM has a chance to do this as Blinn, 3 ghosts on this side, early flash, and forces out a double flash from TSM out towards the A ramp.
Very expensive opening exchange of utility, especially from TSM's perspective. They have to back off A and try to reinforce with numbers now with the rotation. Blinn is heading over towards his topside B play. Guiding light initially, but Sim catches an angle. Paint shells don't quite go to where they're intended, but does it make a difference?
Spike down.
The Ghost will do the job for him. 3 in the round for Sim, and now the spike left down through mid with the last 2 players for Blinn coming from the other side of the map.
Yeah, they did a good job for Blinn for rotating out here from the A side to mid because they heard the amount of players and flashes and util that came towards that side. But Sim's just on fire.
Ace? Oh, we've had so
Why are they
many
all
that are
denied
so
today?
close. It had to have been like the 4th potential ace we've had today. But TSM still hit the pistol. All things turning up positive for them to start off their defensive half.
And because of this type of composition here on Split, this could still be very oppressive, right? The amount of smokes and poison orb and the trips you could put towards middle, you're forcing the hand of the attackers to or default or snowball into what could be good positions that you could play on the defensive side. So TSM still has a chance here to make this a fairly close game, especially with this type of buy. Vandal in the hands of Sim, 14 and 10 are currently on the board, getting very close to a showstopper in round number 3. Almost feels like Okeanos had something very similar here on the first half.
Well, Okeanos and the rest of Blinn look to get forward past this poison cloud early, and ooh, the crossfire angle works out nicely. First blood tallied. Sheriff's finding their value for now, and that's going to be Teague actually giving it away to a teammate, considering he got low. And while that little juggle of who's carrying what happens, GMD steps into the play and takes all 3 down.
Yeah.
One enemy remaining.
Nothing you can do with the 2 last classics, but you could actually see right there that orb that just landed at the feet of Blinn when they were walking up middle. It was a missed lineup because usually the throw there from the spawn side, it's supposed to hit the top by the boxes to cover up even the staircase of mail. So this allows for you to scale up a little bit more, find that cover of that trip, break that, and not force any type of players trying to run through a decay on that orb to fight back from the mail. So it allows for you to have a little bit more control on the default at that side. But that's a tell as well from TSM. They heard that land, it missed, but they could be aware now when these orbs land, rather, they could be ready for some mid pressure.
Well, interestingly enough, yeah, they're actually just going to get away with murder here and steal away the orb at B main. Blinn hard focused at mid, but a little late to the party. Will also really not see too much thanks to this poison cloud. So, yeah, once again, it just kind of feels like TSM get what they want in the first 30 seconds, and Blinn are going to be trying to hunt things out with what Sky utility they can connect with.
Dog may have seen GMD, though. And Paranoid's already thrown towards main to see if there's anybody moving through on the split. And you saw the peek coming out from Sim, saw nobody, so they could be ready, especially with this camera looking up towards A heaven.
Yeah, but it's going to be a gut check reaction here to the defenders onto A. Flashes through, the spy cam does not get a tag. And Teague makes matters worse. Finds poise for the first. Teleport down to the Cypher's pass. Automatically going for the plan. 7 with the judge in the corner. That doesn't work out, but Sherb on the site will. GMD there to support. And all of a sudden, Sherbert, the new guy up, comes up with a huge double. And Monzi's left for a 1v3. First one's good. Sim on the corner. Sherb, half HP inside sight. Here's the swing, and it's Sherb for 3 in the round. TSM bring us back to within 1.
A simple 3-2-1 swing on top of that from screens and elbow. And it looked like it wasn't going to be a stronghold for TSM at that A site because he lost poise early, because the one playing towards hell, I think was 7, only had a judge. So Sherb is under heavy attack with just the Spectre and still gets a 2K, denies the clock so that GMD could move in and get 2 kills with the Bulldog as support and allow for them to get the player advantage towards the end. Beautiful plays coming out from Sherb. And converting the bonus round from TSM, they're 1 away of tying up the game now. Monsi looking for more of a default throw here to throw it towards the billboard with this poison orb. So they could try to start playing this late lurk play. But it's a high-low setup from TSM to watch that angle. So a 2-1-2 setup. The responsibility from Poise, just having to jiggle and play it more passively. But because of that deep smoke, it makes it a little bit more difficult for them to react here on where that pressure is coming from Blinn. So they have to give up this B site and be more proactive towards B main because they've lost full control of middle for the first 10 seconds.
And the thing is, I mean, if you're TSM, you have to be thinking that we've got full weapon advantage here. And you've got Blinn now all of a sudden 5-man focused on A. Trailblazer takes care of the first trap. Sherb just waiting for his time. Double blast pack in. Okeanos gets splashed up. And now Sherb on the corner, just hitting a crossfire with 7. I mean, that's got to be pure dope for TSM. when your emergency sub steps in, holds on to not one but two perfect sights, and then team shots with poise to get us tied at 8. TSM starting to vibe here defensively.
Exactly. That was a beautiful position from Sherb, because that paranoia that was thrown by Spaz at the A ramp fully hit Sim behind the map. So that was a free kill coming up for Okeanos. But you paid attention to where the Raze was satchelating towards to and heard where Okeanos was landing. And he was so focused on trying to take down 7 behind that map that it was a free kill for Sherb. Free kill for Sherb onto Okeanos, was trying to take Sim down behind that map. So well done towards the end. TSM has tied up the game, not giving a chance here for Blinn to get any plans coming through in that previous round. Yeah, even the last 2 rounds.
And this is a big flex round here. 8-8 tie, showstopper out, and ooh, it connects on Okeanos. It nearly got Monzi as well. Down to 5 HP. He's gonna have to go back, find Teague, and get healed up, but a good little proactive call, and the timing works out beautifully for TSM to collect first.
That's just unfortunate, because that was a play that Blinn was trying to do the whole first half. Yet, this time it's a showstopper coming out from Sim, and he gets a contact. Almost a double kill. And that's your space maker gone here with Okeanos down. So Blinn have to now try to work a buddy system. You have to activate somewhere else. Don't think you're going to really try to move down towards this A ramp here when you have the spike on your back, and all this is to try to sell a fake.
And the thing about it is, this is not making TSM sweat at all.
Nope.
I mean, legitimately, they are in a very perfect setup. The only question mark is what's at mid.
Look at GMD instant
30
TP towards the
seconds
B site. He knew that this was going to be a fake to hit back towards B.
Now 20 seconds at the clock. You got to make a move. Will be a 1v1 contact up top at B tower. Everything else coming down low. Paranoia already spent defensively. Sim wins that aforementioned 1v1 up top at Monzi. A double from inside the site. Time becoming an issue though. Sherb only able to get one of the 2.
10 seconds
Now the
left.
neural theft plus the plant. 2v2. Everything resets.
I've got your trail.
Seekers off the off the plant. Information on the last 2. The other one's curving towards the spawn though. An opportunity for them to surprise a player. But that's going to reset now.
Yeah. Well, here we go. A little bit of kill noise. Last piece of utility, and Blinn will be seen. At least one player off of that guiding light, but the contact from Mike is good. Just down to Poise. They do not necessarily know that Poise is on site, but the split is perfect, and Blinn's post plant will hold 9-8 on a flex round that the Pirates are going to be real happy to have.
And that was the thing that was missing from TSM. Again, we talk about how good the protocols are for Blinn and the Pulse Plant to stay in a group where they could play for trades. TSM, they isolated themselves with having Poise out in the open on the rafters when the other one dropped towards Hell. And it could have been some sort of swing that came from New Box and Heaven to capitalize at least a trade onto Mike and give more chances on your end. But it allowed still for Teague on the Pulse Plant to just hide around the map and try to guarantee the round over on Blinn's side. And despite the showstopper kill in the beginning here for TSM, a nice conversion of a 4 versus 5 for Blinn to win the round. Simple and on an op though. This is an A site hold with that op, so they can heavy lean on a hold on middle because they have a double trip set up on this B site from Sherb. But the smokes are deep.
This GMD here's a lot of this. He's waiting to see if someone will just walk right into this dark cover, but the Boombot does push him out. Oh, but Blinn are just, I mean, it's so tense. Blinn just right on the other side. As soon as this dissipates, GMD is going to be stuck. And now he has to commit to it. There's the check. Oh, well done by Blinn. Good isolation, good first. And all of a sudden, you have to hope that Sim can rotate over and get this operator in play because Blinn are going to be flooding in towards this B site. The read onto 7 is decent, but the kill is not there. Now 7 flashing above him, gets another tag onto 1, so stepping into the zone. Oh, maybe got a headshot onto Mike there with the Phantom.
2 players low.
Snake bite, oh, perfectly placed. Paint shells could also deal the killing blow if it does land on the Mike. Not going to happen, Monzi. 1v2, spike collected, holding on to his pit. Poise trying to work his way potentially in, but they just spam him out, no worries. We go back tied at 9.
7 once again. Coming up on top. Despite him only getting 1, I mean, he got 2 kills actually out of that, but did enough damage for the rest of TSM to get some util kills on that 2 versus 2. There's a reason why here they're going into these role changes from Poise going into a Viper, 7 into the Sky. Just because you're able to move more freely around with 7. And you need the young guns to fire up for TSM. That forces out the timeout now for Blinn. Tying up the game is TSM once again. And going back and forth for the last few rounds forces the first timeout actually ever for this map. As we mentioned it, strong defensive side here for both of these teams. Different setups and different looks with the same composition, but they're both finding great value out of it on their opportunities to play defense.
Yeah, and this is, I mean, it's been tight through and through. I mean, outside of the unfortunate proto medical emergency in map number 2, and Sherb comes in, and I guess technically he goes 4-3, right? I mean, he finished what, 4-11. So
yeah, he was 0-8 when he started.
Yeah.
So yep.
So he's had a good one so far. It just comes down to what really will boil down to the difference between these two squads, because there's not a lot separating them in map 1 and not a lot separating them here in map 3.
This is a nice spot. Yes.
And I don't think when they tried to work the map here that they heard the op shot coming out from Sim yet. And Sim's going to potentially try to take an angle into the staircase down towards sewers. And they'll soon realize that there's no pressure down towards middle. Only a late lurk from Monsi.
Saw someone in chat say, cool stat, TSM has never lost a map when Sherb has played the whole map.
We'll see. We'll see.
That's good.
We'll see.
We love stats
For
like
now.
that, though.
Yeah, of course. Those are the easy ones that I like to hang on to. There's the op.
Yeah, the problem is there's no exit. GMD at least takes a second.
Oh!
What? Mike
I
just
know exactly.
hoping, spraying, and praying. And then all of a sudden, through
no.
mid, Monzi collects headshots onto Sherb. So now it's full weaponry. 7, though, taps it away. What is this round of Valorant? Seekers have come through. Monzi's going to get read by it, having a little bit of trouble with the Seeker. And he's moving loudly, and he gets caught with a knife out. Wow, what a round as TSM get to Tad first.
Oh my God, 7 when he needs to step up once again. Because that, I was like, what the hell is happening? Great shots coming out from, I think that was Mikey with the Guardian, right?
Yep.
GMD was just trying to place a one-way smoke so he could try to stay alive, and yet, from the place that he did it, they just guessed the shot for Mikey and picked him off. And that allowed it and unraveled everything to an advantage of Blinn on a lower buy. They only had pistols pretty much and a Guardian. And everybody was losing their duels until 7 was able to save that round.
Dude, I'll
An
tell you,
offside
Vance,
on B. Yeah, what's up?
this Blinn team is not to be taken lightly with lesser weapons. They have been close to pulling thrifties a number of times in this series so far.
Yeah, and remember, if you're only watching Blinn now and you've missed out on the mid-season cup, they're also a team in the mid-season cup that took TTR to 3 maps.
Yeah, true.
And if I'm not mistaken, they also beat TTR on this map too.
Yep, sure did. 13-9, I believe is what it's felt. Oh, these guys are exciting. Paint shells over the top. That just rains down in towards the site. A little bit of chip damage at best. Trailblazer also clears out the corner. Boys, just one peek before the dark cover comes through. Now it's just down to what can you spam out? The answer, absolutely nothing. Blinn find their entry. On in towards A. Spike going to be planted behind this, and the defense has to scramble to make their way back over.
What they need to do right now for TSM is just contain to heaven as well. You can't just have poised up here because you have a lot of utility for the flood retake. Paranoia, paint shells. You need to throw this from heaven. And it starts.
Paranoia also comes through. Some damage now. Okeanos responds with the showstopper. Decent trade from Sim, but it's just not flat out enough. 7 last one left. Oh, swaps over to a quick Vandal. Makes good use of it. But now running out of time, running out of health, and running out of ammunition for the 1v2. Has a decent look over towards Monzi, but Spaz, the one behind the billboard, cleans it up, and Blinn tie us back up. Now back and forth, up to 10.
Yeah, and Monsi was basically the insurance, amidst the chaos. Because you're able to get the site very easily, give up the site fairly easily for TSM, Blinn was just planning for heaven freely. And then when you're anchoring towards that site and keeping those players focused here on a battle towards A main, you just saw Monsi slip through towards the A ramp so that if it comes down to a 1v1, he's going to be able to play the time and the spike out in the open for him. Blindo doing a great job just anchoring, using a showstopper to delay even more on their side and tied the game once more. So on a third map that it goes back and forth like this, you're loving what you're seeing so far. Trying to set up the sounds. The paranoia should be coming through to assist a little bit too late.
Cover going out.
But looks like TSM don't want to push forward to try to fight back. So they're okay to play the numbers advantage on a 4 versus 3.
Absolutely. It's a decent trade in the first 10 seconds, so I think you take that and run. But this does stretch them out just a touch with Sim off the map. And if you're Blinn, you have to try to stretch the defense further if you can. And legitimately, can you find a way to bait someone off of a site? That could be maybe the opportunity for them to get back in this 3v4, especially considering that Sherb is pretty much stuck having to play this A corner off of his trap wire with a judge. That's his only option. So really, this is going to be a 3v3 if they don't go A.
What I'm looking here is the camera wasn't able to get shot and that we never actually went for the ping with Sherb, just to make sure here that you're not letting the Cypher know that you're really set up towards this side. Jump spots are coming through from B main. GMD just spotted it and had to smoke it out. And about to cross against him.
Teleport comes into sight, 7 up top, GMG down low, and it's not a peek that happens really together. It caught off of the animation from the paranoia. Spaz also gets taken out. So just down to Mike, 1v4. And 7 will even make life a little bit more difficult with an extra tag through the smoke. 12 seconds to the clock. Not much to happen here as Mike will just back away and save.
Yeah, a call from the IGL to make sure that he saves his weapon for the next. They could have a pretty decent buy going to the next one. I mean, Spaz and Monsi are low, but you could still have some Guardian buys that showed to be advantageous and almost converted for Blinn the last time around. And when it's coming down to these final moments, that's where it gets important. Do you want to buy around that saved weapon? And it will be to a point where you could support the Vandal and buy in case you lose a round, to try to force this into overtime. So big important call coming out here from the IGL over at Blinn's side, and it's just a stinger so far. And Mike with a classic armor. That's ballsy. And Monsi as well. I'm not against it. I'm definitely not against it because their classics were ringing last time.
Yeah, it's just, how do you figure you can isolate out a defender to pick up a weapon with what this setup looks like right now? That's really got to be a lot of the thinking. And they try to find someone over through mid, but no one's home. So you can at least use this position as a bit of a setup, and you know you've got mid ramp control. But honestly speaking, that's not going to be enough with what TSM have put together here on their defensive setup.
Yeah. But they are giving the rifle that they saved to Okeanos to use it as a hero rifle. Unfortunately, though, for him, he's not going to really be able to create that, set that pace, because he's just watching for rotates first while the rest are trying to use util to try to flush out the opponents. And a second or third attempt to try to shoot the outlaw missed. But Sim could continue to be aggressive here, because even if he misses a shot and they try to find a timing against him, he's got the showstopper.
Shell's paranoia, TSM pushing to reclaim this high ground, but okay, there's one weapon. That could be useful for the 4v4, especially since the Vandal's still in play. Sim still whiffing here. Showstopper out, but got checked for reaction. Doesn't land for too much. Trades are defensive inside the site. Sim making the most of a classic that he's left with. Still trying to find the rest of Blinn, and they eventually find Mike below the rafters, and that will be enough for Sherb to finish off Monzi to get it to series point for TSM.
Oh my gosh, I was getting very close. Because you saw there, he had the insurance once again with that showstopper, yet it still missed. Didn't get any contact, and he was under heavy fire, and thankfully, the rest of TSM have already rotated by them to help out. And this puts TSM now at map and series point. But because we had a good buy for Blinn to make sure that they had a good economy for this round, and they have an opportunity to go for objective to get Seekers, they may have a chance here to salvage these last 2 rounds, although the default is a 1-3-1. With the Sky throwing an early flash on this middle. Just trying to keep TSM at bay.
Well, the thing is, TSM don't have to necessarily do crazy, because you have the Seekers to find recontrol if you need to. Instead, they're going to stack the box here at mid. Paranoia gets thrown maybe a little bit too late for TSM to take advantage of it, but they still walk away a 2-for-1 trade. And that may be good enough, especially considering the tools that are still available.
And the opportunity to try to go for Seekers and information in the late round. All denied.
Oh.
Spike down mid.
Oh, and Monty's been seen. Oh, but not enough ammunition for Poise to finish the kill. So this would be a 1v4 here, Vance, and well, the issue is Seeker's Trailblazer will confirm that Monzi's still at mid. Still plenty of time that you can work this.
And they'll just group up. I mean, they got the trips towards the main, they got the camera on A, and then they could be heavy lean towards B. You just have to play. I mean, you might move down later on as, to try to get a hat on top of that, but there's 30 seconds left.
30 seconds
TSM's
left.
trying to really play not to lose here because they're not even peeking into male.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. That's going to activate the rotate. You already see Sherb also rotating back towards middle, trying to pop with the camera, knows that it's not towards the A side. Now he can throw the hat.
And at this point, it's just double swinging them, huh? Monty up top. Okay, gets the first, nothing more though. And TSM with a really dire set of circumstances through map 2 with Proto having to leave for a medical emergency of some sort. We obviously hope he's okay. But Sherb steps in and says, I got you, brother. Playing on characters that he has not played in his competitive history. And I am sure the rest of the TSM boys are giving him max dope right now. He goes positive in both maps after joining. Heck of a performance for Sherb to help TSM get their win.
I mean, look at him smile so far, right? And all of TSM definitely giving praise. You saw Simmons7 just moving his lips here just to probably give props here to Sherb. Seven's super happy about that. You can definitely see it. They really wanted this for TSM, and to turn it around with Sherb as a last-minute sub to get that victory is huge. Very, very nicely done. And there you go. I was going to say that stat stays true. TSM has never lost a map with Sherb playing the whole map.
Production cooked. Credit to whoever said that in chat. I saw it. I don't remember what your name was, but it was funny. It made me laugh. Maybe laugh twice, in fact. Yeah, great stuff. I mean, it really, you know, you boil down this entire series, and it's hard to look at Breeze with really any sort of, like, coincidental kind of conversations outside of what happened in the second half, which, hey, Sherb joins, and they lose, what, 2 of the 6 rounds that they got a chance to play? Yeah. It's just, the tally was just too much to deal with from the first half deficit. But I mean, the first map, both teams are going to look back on and say there are a handful of rounds here where we could have definitely won. I think Blinn in particular is going to look and say, wow, I mean, if you give us a chance to run this same execute again, we probably find success with it. It was just a couple of special players making special plays. Tuesday, you know how it goes.
What's up, brother? But yeah, big shout out to Kennot. They were the person there that put that cool stat. But Sierra, time for you to yap.
Yeah, I want to yap a little bit too, guys. Thank you so much for the invitation to join your yap session.
Hey, welcome to the party.
Thank you. I mean, great stuff. I was kind of worried with Split. Just, I mean, obviously when you have that loss on a Broto, bringing in a sub, this is match 3. Could have wondered if maybe the morale would be a little bit down. TSM, maybe if the sub was unfamiliar, how it would go down. But TSM really just having the best of the situation. Of course, sure, being able to step up to the occasion was definitely appreciated. But is it TSM that all around here shift? I mean, this was a nice little turnaround from what we got to see from Breeze.
Yeah, and I think the thing about it is I'm initially still surprised that TSM are like, hey, Sherb, can you just play Sentinel? Like, can you play Cypher here? Instead of being like, you know, maybe give him the leash to play Sky, you know, as an initiator. And his competitive history doesn't show a lot of Sky either, for what it's worth. But, you know, it's just one of those things that, you know, put him on a role maybe he's more familiar with. But, you know, at the other side of the conversation is TSM look at him and go, hey, can you play Cypher? He goes, I could put setups around me and play a judge in the corner if I absolutely have to at worst. And did that a couple of times. But, you know, I think the thing about it is it's not just Sherb. I mean, we kind of saw in Breeze when Sherb did get subbed in, Sim started to play a little bit better. You had Seven also pop off a couple of different times, and go figure, they're your 2 kill leaders and KD leaders here in this map as well. But, you know, Sherb served his purpose beyond more than expectations, I think. And TSM to be really pumped about the fact that they were able to get a guy that could hold his own like that as an island sentinel when he doesn't even play that role. So, yeah, good stuff for TSM to just keep composure.
I'm on the other end, though. If you're asking me the question if Sherb could play Cypher, yes, he can, because he had great position also around the site, was able to find great success to support his teammates too, great trips to find information. The center cameras, yes, there's nothing more he could add to that, but the way that he was playing and getting these kills, and also the way he was anchored towards that backside in that bonus round that they had when he had a Spectre and 2 kills on top of that to allow GMD to rotate over to get 2 more with his Bulldog, that shows to me that, you know, you're comfortable with having less utility in your hands, because usually as an initiator, if you have to take matter into your own hands, you can flash for yourself just like Seven did. Yet with less utility on your side, you're still able to put up some numbers. I think the answer is yes.
As well, even because, I mean, obviously we did get to see Sherb step up on the Cypher and do great things here. But I think I actually, thinking back on it, would have been a little bit more worried had TSM did switch their comp up, considering that they're going to be more used to this other core four doing these certain executes, how they're playing together. And if you're trying to bring somebody newer into the squad, I kind of imagine Shift would be easier to, well, exactly like you said, here, put up some trips, sit in the corner with the judge, and just kind of do your thing.
Yeah, I mean, there is the level, and again, we're, just kind of tossing stuff around to see what sticks on the wall, but there's a lot of different things that could be talked about, and there is this element of, hey, you're a player stepping into a very well thought out system, which, we asked a couple of questions at the beginning of this matchup. Is TSM a more protocol-based team now? Because that's where they were missing out in stage number 1. And maybe with Sherb having to step in, that just locks in our answer that these guys are a more complete, systematic squad that should be taken more seriously, and maybe to the potential that we built them up to in stage 1. So very excited about the future of TSM, whether it's with or without Sherb.
Well, as for now, get an opportunity to talk to TSM and bring Poise on the line to chat a little bit about that best of 3 series. So first off, I have to say here, Poise, if you can hear me, I don't know if you can hear. Yeah, now we can.
Yeah,
I can see you now.
I can hear you.
Perfect. I know that was definitely a very different series than a lot of us expected. A couple of unusual circumstances, but you get the win, start week 1 off, and good luck. How are you feeling after that?
I'm feeling great, honestly. We never had to play with sub before, so we didn't have any experience of how to deal with it, or he didn't know the setups and all. So feeling great that we were able to win with him. We taught him the setups right away, got him comfortable, and the whole team honestly still played like it was another scrim. Everyone kept their heads leveled, and we played great.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure nobody could have imagined that it was going to be a sub taking place for today, and it was curious then seeing Sherb, who we didn't really have a lot of background information on, join in. So I want to know behind the scenes how much screaming practice you got to have with him, or if it was truly Sherb just kind of having to do the best in the situation, which he did great, by the way.
Yeah, he did amazing. And honestly, we needed a sub at the last second of the season, so we've had 0 experience with him. We got a last second sub, and he just kind of showed up, did his thing, and he played great. He filled in the role perfectly. He had a huge 3K on the bonus, was a really big part of helping us win that match. So shout out to Sherb, man. Shout out to Sherb.
Twitch chat was going nuts, rightfully so, hashtag shine Sherb and all of this stuff too. And being able to see him step up on the Cypher was really nice, because we were kind of curious if we were going to maybe see role swaps happening, considering that in his time with his own team, he's more so playing this initiator role. Was it ever sort of a situation, or more so, hey, we have this 4 that know how to run this with these types, we're not going to mess with that, and he has to kind of deal with the Cypher?
So that was our exact conversation right before the match. We were saying, should we just put Johan or Seven on Cypher because there's a lot of experience on it, and then Sherb was an initiator. But we've been playing well on the map, and Johan's been good at initiating in the middle of the map, directing and stuff. So we just wanted to keep it the same, and we thought filling in a Sentinel or Lurk would be a lot easier in the moment. And yeah, it worked out.
Glad to hear. I do, of course, want to talk a little bit about that Breeze. Sorry to bring that one up. And we've seen that TSM's been pretty strong on it in the past, and Blinn we didn't really have the most knowledge on, and they ended up really showing up there. Did they maybe catch you off guard a little bit, or what kind of happened on that second map?
Honestly, I feel like early in the game we were set up really well for a lot of their strats. I think we kind of just missed shots, and then once we missed shots, we kind of started getting a little tilted. They started getting on a heater. Okeanos started with a 4K, so he wasn't missing at all. He started 16-4, so I think we missed shots. They got on a heater, but also we played very similar, so I think we did get counter-shotted, and we're gonna have to work on that a little bit. But I think that was pretty much it. We missed shots. They got on a heater. We didn't play our game as we should have, and it kind of just spiraled out of control like Valorant does sometimes.
That definitely it can do that, but I'm glad that everyone was able to regroup for Split and this week off on a win. Congratulations again on the Wii, and I'll let you go. Have a good rest of your night. I'll see you next week, okay?
All right, thank you so much. You as well.
Thank you. As for us, Definitely an up and down series to be kicking off our day, and there's still one more on the horizon. It's going to be Core going up against Turtle Troop after the break.
They say in life, there are no guarantees. They say a lot of stuff like that. Slow it down. Play it safe. Hedge your bets. So what? You gonna listen to that? You gonna stop because they can't guarantee you'll pull this off? No guarantee you'll win? No guarantee everything's gonna be fine? In life, you make your own guarantees. Nobody else will light your way. Start your own fire and keep it burning. And we guarantee you'll have one hell of a lifetime.